The crowd clearly trying to get in your head with some chants. What does that do for you? Does it fuel you?
It does nothing. It doesn't fuel me, doesn't discourage me. It's part of the game. I don't really hear it. I'm focused on what's going on the court.
In this year's NBA playoffs, defenses have shown many different ways that they tried to slow down Shai Gilgeous Alexander. The Lakers made him have more of a quiet series, you could say. The Phoenix Suns tried to double him as much as they could, but I mean, hey, his creation skills was just too elite for them.
SGA somehow, someway.
And now versus San Antonio Spurs, they maybe have made him even better than he already was. Now the reason I say this is because the Spurs are running a heavy scheme to get the ball out of his hands or stop his attacks to the rim way better than Phoenix did, and in real time, we've seen the adjustments. In this video brought to you by ProdGxm, when looking at the first 3 games and keying in on these numbers, in game 1, Shai had 12 assists, 4 turnovers, with a plus-minus of -15, but then in game 2 and 3, you can see the complete switch. Shai had 9 assists with just 2 turnovers for a plus-minus of 14 in game 2, and followed it up with a solid game 3 with 12 assists and just 2 turnovers while being plus 11 when on the court. At first, things looked a little bad, as anytime SGA would work to get to the basket, they would have someone directly helping out in front to limit his pursuit so his defender could then get back, and then the Spurs guards would just smother SGA, giving him barely any space to operate. The help of the Spurs would be so aggressive that we would see guys giving up absurd gaps between them and the defender like this, and this is all because teams see SGA as a scoring threat but not as much as a great playmaker, so they test that theory. They have guys sitting the gaps on the floor where Shai will try to attack, and it's up to him to make the right read at the right time, which would be at this exact moment, but Shai instead creates separation with that bump on Vassell to opt into a jumper that misses off the back of the rim. Game 1 certainly gave Shai a lot of problems as he would try and break past defenders the best way he could and attack the paint like he's been doing, but until he proved San Antonio wrong, they were gonna relentlessly be in these gaps to bother him, and what's crazy is they're begging him to make these wide open passes, but he simply wasn't making them more times than not. The biggest thing in game 1 with Shai was making the reads quicker. Like on this play, you can see Harper far over on Shai, and that's fine if they want to take away Shai's scoring. But now something new is unlocked. This is the time where Shai can pick apart the defense with his passing. And in moments like this, passes have to be led, not followed. What I mean by this is, with Chet cutting to the rim, this is where Wemby will have to decide to either help out on Chet or stay in this middle ground just in case there's a kick out to Caruso. This is the position you want to put the defense in, but first, you have to get it to Chet. With SGA having a small window, he can't telegraph this pass or else it will be stolen. And he also can't throw it behind Chet on the cut, which is why I said it can't be followed. Shai has to throw this pass earlier in the cut so he can lead Chet to the basket while beating the defenders, but with a direct pass that's sent late, Harper is able to get a hand on it to go the other way. That's why things need to be quicker, and if they weren't, well, he needed to just not force the issue. At times, he would be cut off from driving because the defense will buy in on closing off the paint, and instead of passing, he will rise up for tough shots. This will make for a struggle in game 1, but in the next coming games, things totally shifted. I want you all to look at Caruso right here. Now you're probably saying, why is this even important? Well, this is when it all completely clicked, and that the Thunder finally realized that this is what's been unlocking Caruso and what unlocked Shai as well. Now they've been having success with this, but everything clicked in that moment, as when Shai and Caruso work together, defenders will often help off Caruso completely to double Shai, and with Caruso being able to play make or score, Shai can now find him to make the Spurs pay. For example, with Caruso knowing the Spurs will double Shai aggressively when they get close to him no matter what, he doesn't even bother setting the screen and just sets a ghost screen so he can slip into the middle area to receive the pass. Once catching in the middle of the defense, you can pretty much do whatever you want. As you can see, Caruso has a pass to McCain available right here, but with a simple ball fake, he's now shed the defender to have open shot. This now makes Wemby step towards him to take that away, and with a small window to get this pass through, he puts it right on the money for Mitchell to go score. Shai making reads in a quicker manner while pairing him with a high IQ player is what breaks the Spurs, as scrambled defense never really works in your favor. This playstyle switch is us seeing Shai improve as a player in real time. Usually on plays like this, we would see Shai try to break past the defense to go get a bucket, try to draw a foul versus the multiple defenders around him, or even create space with a bump to then pull up for a jumper. But with adjustments of your playstyle being key in the playoffs for a star player, this is now where Shai is looking for his guys early to locate where they will be open, and with this two-man connection with Alex Caruso being so dangerous, here comes the money ball. When pushing up the floor here, Caruso sets the ball screen high for Shai once he passes half court, also he can attack Cornet with momentum. Well, with Shai angling his drive more towards the middle, this now pulls in Johnson as well due to the Spurs buying in on the concept of completely closing off the paint, and this is why I say this unlocks the game completely, as even though Caruso isn't the one scoring, J. Will is the one who ends up open off the initial pick and roll, and now the 3 ball, well, it's activated. Working with Caruso as the screen man allows any of OKC guys to attack downhill with some steam, and it may seem like this didn't do much as Wemby is able to stop J-Dub, but with a kick out flowing directly into a pick and roll with Caruso and Shai, you can see Caruso slipped immediately while Wemby is telling Harper to get out and not paying attention, so now 2 points inside is generated. Honestly, you can show many examples of just him and Caruso solely, but let me shift things slightly and let's analyze the different ways he can break the defense with his passing in totality. For example, with Shai having so much attention when he's on the floor, it's not just 2 defenders, as 3 defenders all lock in on him. And now they just totally forget about this weak side cut to the basket, and that's how you take advantage of a defense with tunnel vision.
Alexander takes back for the finish as he attacks the rim, and it's a 12-point lead.
It's not that Shai was totally shut down before or anything, because he could get downhill when he felt like it. It was just at these times where he attracted multiple defenders, he was making the pass too late, but now he used this very thing against San Antonio time and time again. The coverage that Shai gets off these attacks is quite ridiculous when you stop the action and look at it, as he has 4 out of 5 Spurs defenders around him to stop him from continuing to the rim, and just look at all the options at his disposal. This here is just the start to the tipping point, as we're about to dive into the even more special ways he can pick apart this San Antonio team. These finds come in many different ways that have shifted the outcome since game 1, and if you would have took the over on Shai's assist, you would have been feeling good right now, as if you can play responsibly and you have the means to do so, ProdGxm is the #1 app for sports picks. The playoffs, as we all know, is well underway and we're almost at the finals, and ProdGxm is the best place to enter your lineups for a chance at a nice prize. When you get on ProdGxm, you'll see that there's so many sports to choose from, and then there's different filters you can click on to bet on certain things during a game. Honestly, it's pretty easy to use. All you have to do is pick more on a player or less on a few players' stats, which then automatically puts them in your lineup. For example, I think Wemby is going to come out hungry and be big for the Spurs, so I'm going to go ahead and take him for over 34 points. Along with that, I think that Shai is going to have an aggressive game scoring wise as well, so I'm going to click more for him, and then after grabbing a couple players that I think will hit the numbers tonight, I can finalize my lineup by submitting, and now I just sit back and let the magic happen. If you want to place your own picks and follow my lineups, you can sign up for ProdGxm in most states, including California, Texas, Florida, and if you sign up for ProdGxm with code HMA, you get $50 instantly once you play at least $5. Yeah, you heard me right, so either download the app or click the link in my description and let me hear your picks in the comments. Now, when going deeper into how Shai has deconstructed the scheme of this defense, you'll notice that on the most basic level that a theme of this video from the Spurs is just to not care about 3-point shooters and only focus on Shai not getting inside. Well, it does work until you consistently give up wide open threes like this.
Caruso again.
Sure, some guys you're not worried about shooting more than others, but right now, Caruso is shooting 47% from deep in the playoffs, so it's hurting the Spurs more than they even realize. Being so far over and help like this will be what gets OKC in rhythm since shots become easier and easier the more they help over, but for the times when Shai gets all out double completely, he can pretty much make you pay the same way. The defense assumes that a strong double will knock him off his game how it did in game 1, but now it's like Shai actually invites the double, sorta like he's waiting for the defense to play their cards. And then once he sees the hand played, that's when he strikes to make his move with his pass all the way across the court to Cason Wallace. Being slightly more patient with these doubles to just not send the pass immediately pays off at times, as it ensures you catch the defense off guard so they can't get a hand on it, and just because I say patient doesn't mean he can't make reads quickly. Being patient just means not rushing the play and waiting for the right moment. And right here, he could make a pass extra early to avoid any doubles, but this is where patience is displayed to push a little further to make sure the help defender commits fully, and then at this point in the play, there's no more time left before it's too late, so that's when Shai makes this simple, yet effective pass over to J-Will for the 3-ball. This playmaking ability isn't something that Shai didn't have, it's just that it was something that he didn't need to use as much. We all know Shai to be the guy to go out there and score the ball at a consistent 30 points a night, but the Spurs put a challenge in front of him that he's defeating in real time. Any coverage they throw at him, he's learning to read between the lines to find the real meaning, and then he delivers the answer like it wasn't even difficult.
To the basket, shots! Timeout, San Antonio!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is when a player becomes dangerous. Because when you walk into a series with a game plan of how to stop a player, you lean on it heavy, and of course, if it doesn't work, well, you try something else. But here's the thing, Shai is the MVP and doesn't really have any weaknesses when it comes to scoring the ball. So when he starts mastering the game of turning him into a passer like he is, you now have to play him more slightly straight up, and man, is this not good.
Long time listener.
Oh no.
SGA wants him. stop it, SGA.
Whether he's getting downhill, stopping for a midi, or pulling up from distance, SGA is confident in his game and he understands how to get to his spots. When coming up the floor, I want you to focus on Champagnie. He shifts his hips to direct Shai to the middle of the floor, which is right to Wemby, so they can close him off. Shai then uses this to his advantage to deliver a slight bump to Champagnie before spinning off towards the basket, but just to throw him off even more, Shai steps back instead of driving to then drop in that bucket. As he starts to get comfortable with navigating this heavy pressure defense, Shai starts to look like a polished GPS as he navigates every detour he has to take perfectly to ultimately end up at his spot on the floor. Sometimes the only way to defeat a defense like this will be to understand how to shift your angles at the right time to get yourself a clean look. And then other times, it's not as clean when the defense still manages to stay with you, so that's when you have to pull out that D-Wade up fake to get the defender in the air and then lean in to draw the contact. See, in basketball, new skills come into the game over time, and underneath the skill of being creative comes understanding how to manipulate the defense. Ball screens like this will make the defenders want to get up high to outbeat it, so manipulation number 1 is the in and out to make Castle bite hard. With Shai now able to attack downhill, the manipulation this time is with the footwork. When looking closer, you can see that Shai is going up off the right foot and shooting it with the right as well. In basketball, these are wrong foot finishes, but this is used so Shai can throw off Wemby's timing for the block, and even with that being used, along with the high placement on this floater, Shai barely gets it past Wemby, but does manage to get the bucket. See, manipulation is everywhere on the floor, it's just that people don't like it when it gets ugly. So hold on, let's really dissect something. When getting the ISO versus Johnson here, it's just one dribble into his drive that the contact from Johnson is initiated. Johnson then continues to hold Shai's arm with 2 hands until the foul is called. Now, could it be weak and not called? Of course, and that's what I would like. But if people are going to hold your arm, well, for the times where that call is missed, you'll also have these times where he won't even allow you to get the grab first, or for the help to come over to contest, and instead, he'll initiate the contact first to bump you off and then rise up. Playoff basketball is all about being physical, and sure, people will first miss all the grabs of Champagnie here to then get upset about that off-arm stun gun, but here's the thing, no matter how light or how hard someone is touching you, you must always defuse the situation so you can then have a clean look for your next move. Now don't get me wrong, I do understand that people can love the physical play on one hand and then hate his foul baiting on the other, but I think you should look at things differently and love the game. The foul baiting when it comes to shooting is very similar to how D-Wade would bait defenders into fouling him for mid-range shots, and some would argue that that era of basketball had a level of physicality that made the games enjoyable. Right now, I believe we see that with Shai, although it might be slightly exaggerated at times. I mean, let's be honest, does this not look like it's straight out of the bag of D-Wade himself? It's a lot that you can say, but when he's creating, regardless if the foul is called or not, Shai can focus to still knock down the shot.
Alexander pump, window for 2, 9 in a row.
And then other times, that threat of him driving makes the defense vulnerable to a step back that connects for straight cash.
Steps back for his first points and for the lead.
And that's what makes this whole thing dangerous moving forward, because now the question for the Spurs isn't how do we stop Shai from scoring, it's how do we stop him from controlling the entire game. And those are two completely different problems, because once a player reaches this level mentally, the numbers almost stop mattering for a second. Yeah, the points are going to be there, the assists will stack up, the highlights will flood social media, but the real damage is what he's doing to the shape of the floor itself. Every defender is shifting because of him, every rotation is speeding up because of him, and every mistake is being forced because of him. And this is why playoff basketball is so fascinating to watch in real time, because every single game really becomes a conversation. One team will throw out a question and the other team responds with an answer. Then after that, the chess match just gets deeper and deeper until eventually somebody runs out of counters. The Spurs came into the series with a legitimate idea, pack the paint, crowd his driving lanes, and force him into traffic. And honestly, early on, it looked like they had something going on, but now, Shai is seeing every coverage before it even fully develops. That's why some of these passes don't even look impressive at first glance until you really slow it down, because the real skill isn't the pass itself, it's recognizing that exact moment that the defense collapses. This is what they call the superstar leap that players make. The game really starts to slow down while everyone else is panicking, and you can feel it happening right now in this series. I want to ask you all something. Who do you think will win this series? The Thunder or the Spurs? And I want to talk about this with you all. So go over to my website, whomasteryvl.com, and come join in on the showdown and the debates. There's a lot of things to do over here. We have a whole community. You can play games. You can earn points. Just come over here and check it out. I hope to see you all soon, and thank you all for your support.